Hello, everybody. Fayute, my Irish friends. It's Wednesday, 3rd of November, 2021, 9 p.m. here in Ireland, 10 p.m. in France, 9 p.m. in UK as well. So I'm glad to have you here today. And today's topic is very important, dealing with premature deaths. And we will try to answer any questions. If you have, please don't forget to put in the comment box. But also, we're going to give you an overview of the death from the death perspective. And I hope you enjoy. And I want to say good night, my friends. Good night, Charles. Good night, Elsa, Silvia.
Good evening. Hi.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. It's really a great joy to be here once again. When we are together talking about something that people sometimes avoid to talk. But it's so nice to face all things that we have to discuss, to think about, to live it, to undergo, and of course, overcome all these difficulties, all understanding. So I hope you enjoy to be with us today. Make your comments wherever you are. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon from London.
Bonsoir à tous, très heureux d'être parmi vous de nouveau ce soir pour parler de ce sujet difficile, ce qui est une des plus grandes épreuves qui soit, de perdre un enfant ou un être cher de façon prématurée. Et donc on va essayer de vous apporter des éléments de réponse. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening everyone. Hello Stevan, Silvia, Elsa. Very happy to be here again together with you and with all the with Nancy, with Bruce, and so many others, to share some thoughts about these difficult questions, which is the loss of premature loss of beloved ones, and to bring you some resources from Spiritist philosophy, which is helping to overcome this type of trial.
Ms. Gibbons?
So, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. It's always a blessing to be again together. And as Charles said, today is a very special subject that we're going to talk about. It's one that all of us at one time will have to go through ourselves, and we know people who have been. So we try to bring, as Charles said, the Spiritist philosophy that really enlightens the subject like nothing else, and gives us also the support we need at those difficult times. So, it's wonderful to be with all of us again.
Great. So, and today, as usual, we do have a wonderful video. And let me share my screen here. And I will play. Okay, now everybody can see it. Okay, so let's do it.
There have been many films coming out looking at life after death, at least somewhat differently, but yet still scary. So that plays a part in people's idea of, I don't want to see spirits, or do spirits really exist? Is it just hocus pocus? But they seem to make things that way for some reason, because perhaps they themselves are afraid. They're afraid of what they might see or what that might mean to them deep down inside of themselves.
I am afraid of pain, the process of dying, but I know that when I die, my life will go on. And so it's only natural that we fear the unknown.
But in Spiritism, we say it should be something normal. It shouldn't be something that's scary for us, because we all are born, we die, and then we are reborn again This is the law. This is what's going to happen to all of us, independent of what we believe in.
We absolutely can say life continues after death. And in fact, we also believe that life precedes birth. So the cycle of life is one that always continues.
We are here living a physical experience. Our reality is indeed in the spirit realm. So this is only a fraction, a small second of our existence. Death is simply a moment of transition from this world to another world.
If you know that there's life after death and there is a continuation, would you act the same way? Would you treat people the same way, knowing that you might run into them again? Or there might be some kind of judgment day? It would take a little bit of time for us to come to terms with the idea that death does not exist. It's just kind of a transformation piece. But it's a hard one because it's a personal choice.
Think about your own death. Think about the death of your mother, your father, your sibling, your dog. Think about how you would feel once your mother, your father, your sister, or you yourself would die. Begin to live your life, we would say, not in a morbid sense, but be ready for it. So once death becomes closer to us, or it's knocking on our door, whether it's spontaneous, whether you lose a loved one in a car accident, it's not such an emotional trauma. Because once you begin thinking, you're preparing your mind for something every day, it's not such a big deal once it happened.
And we keep living at the other side of life, at the other realm of life. So this separation, it's only temporarily. It's only a moment. We will meet one day our loved ones and our enemies too. So that's why transforming ourselves, making us a better person, a better human beings, preparing ourselves to, once this moment arrive to our existence, and do this transpass, this crossover, many people say, in a very nice way.
It's not so necessary for us to focus on that which is impenetrable, but it's better for us to focus on our imperfections, work on ourselves, be a better person, and that will lead us towards a much happier path, independent of our religious ideas or belief systems.
So, I never tired to say thank you to Spiritist Academy for these wonderful videos they produce to us and help us so much in our journey here. And the introduction today, I ask your permission to read because it comes from the book After That, from Leon Denis, chapter 50. And Leon Denis says, if there is a cruel test, it is the loss of loved ones. It is when, one after another, we see them disappear, carried away by death, and that solicitude is made little by little around us, full of silence and darkness. These successive departures from all those dear to us are just as many solemn warnings. They tear us out of our selfishness. They show us the childishness of our material concerns, earthly ambitions, and invite us to prepare for that incredible journey. Beautiful. Leon Denis, always beautiful. And in order to start our discussion here, let's go to France. And Charles, in the cemetery de Père Lachaise, we have on the tomb of Allan Kardec written, to be born, to die, to be reborn. That is the law. What is that, my friend?
Good question. Indeed. So, what is life could also be a good question, because in fact, there is no scientific definition of what is life or what is death. What is existing is some criteria to enable the physician to attest, to sign the certificate that someone is dead. So flat EEG with some interval and 2 times and so on. But what is the difference 1 minute or 10 minutes before death and 10 minutes after death? No scientific can explain. So heart is stopping and so on, but why? And this is exactly one of the elements that Spiritist philosophy of Spiritist body of knowledge is bringing. And it's even, we can consider it as one of the evidence in favor of the spiritualist paradigm, because the spirit, as per the Spiritist philosophy, the life can only exist when there is, through the association of the spiritual principle of a spirit, for instance, and the organic matter. If there is no spirit or spiritual principle in a feto or in a plant or in an animal, there is no life. It's dying. And so the difference is exactly between life and death, as it has been explained well in the video, is when the spiritual principle is detaching from the core, from the physical body, then it is what is called the death. So there is a very clear event, as per the Spiritist philosophy, which is defining and characterizing what death is. Then, of course, and it has been also very clear and very actual for the subject today, is yes, we have a spirit in ourselves, which is existing before life, before this incarnation, and which continues existing after the life. So this is really the spiritual paradigm. I think it was Dan commenting. It's a jump to jump from the materialistic paradigm. So we are again only a bench of cells governed deterministically and randomly by some bioelectrical reactions in the body, or biochemical reactions, or there is something else which is governing all this phenomenon of life, which is the spirit. So this is exactly, how to say, as I told, when you see the feto at the beginning, so it's one cell from the woman and one spermatozoid from the man, which are combining and making one cell. And then it is multiplying, and of a sudden it goes in 3D, as per the morphogenesis. It goes also making the different function of the organism, the bones, the muscles, the organs, the brain, and so on. So how is this? How does this? What is the process for this? And this embryogenesis is also something which is not explained by science. But here again, once more, the Spiritist philosophy has an explanation thanks to the spiritual paradigm. It is the spirit which is incarnating in this body, which is making, how to say, which is driving all this development of these cells, which are at the beginning identical, to form the different parts of the physical body, which this process is completed, at least partially completed, when the baby is born after 9 months. So again, here there is an explanation. So the question is really how can science come to this? And science, as long as science will be studying the physical matter, the matter which exists in the space-time 4 dimensions, this Einsteinian matter, or however we can call it, they will not perceive, sorry, the spirit, neither the spiritual body, the spirit, as we have explained also in a previous life, because those are not in these 4 dimensions. They are in some additional dimensions, which are the spiritual dimensions, basically. And they have a projection. They can interact with the organic matter in order to realize the phenomenon of life. So the science today, as long as we don't have some instruments to detect or to measure or to weight the spiritual matter, we can only see indirectly through the effects on the physical and organic matter the existing of this principle. It's an energy which is coming, an organizing principle which is coming from the spiritual world. And that's why some scientists here in France, which are slowly but surely coming to this type of conclusion, by looking this embryogenesis, it would contradict the second law of thermodynamics, which is the law of entropy. Entropy should always be growing. And here we see it's not the case. So for that to happen, you need to have someone, somewhere, some energy coming into the system. Otherwise, you cannot explain how this embryo, and we all went through this, isn't it? We don't remember, but we went through it. And this physicist in France is saying that there is some energy coming from the void or from the vacuum. And what is the vacuum? Again, seen with the material eyes, is all what is not material. So the spiritual being and the spiritual body, perispirit, and so on, is exactly, can be assumed today as a vacuum, because it is not in the 4 dimensions, 3 for space, 1 for time, I remember. Okay, so this is how Spiritism is bringing logically and rationally the elements to think about this hypothesis of the spirit, which is enabling a lot of explanation for all this, what we are seeing. But not only, it's also bringing the elements that will be developed, I think, by Silvia and Elsa in this life, for consoling, saying death is not the end of everything. It's just the spirit, which is detaching from body. Body returns to matter to be used to make other living beings or plants or whatever. But the spirit is still here. And again, this interaction between the spiritual world and the incarnated world through mediumship, through a lot of different phenomena, through our what we remind sometimes when we are dreaming during the natural sleep at night. All this is then giving these evidences of the existence of this spiritual world. Okay, and what is today I'm very happy about is that we can see that there are more and more and more science and spirituality movements wherever around the world. So this means that slowly but surely, this spiritualist paradigm for science is gaining force, gaining influence, because indeed, in particularly in the medical area, and here next week we will have the 20th and 21st of November, the second virtual Congress of the Spiritist Medical Association, as it has been presented in the announcement from last week and maybe today again. And there you will see the doctors, which are, how to say, Spiritists, speaking about how many studies, thousands of studies which have been done and which are giving more and more and more evidences in this way, showing the benefits of the spirituality on the health, on the physical health. Okay, so other researches also have been done, of course, like Penrose and Hammerhoff, which are exactly trying to show, to demonstrate how physically the interaction between the spiritual body and the physical body is happening, coming to this their theory of quanto-gravitational interaction in the microtubules which have in our brain, and there are happening some quantum phenomenon which are provoked by the influence of the spirits. As per the theory, of course, it is still needing to be proven. There are some other studies done in Brazil from, for instance, Hernani Guimarães Andrade. So I'm really very happy to see that slowly but surely we are coming to this. And of course, once we see the life and the reality with this broader view, with this huge lateral view, to admit that it's not only matter which exists in the universe, but also spirit, it changes completely our view, and it brings us huge resources to overcome this type of very, very difficult trial.
Wonderful, wonderful. And also we have some comments here from Bruce. He says, quantum physics, higher sciences agree, energy is never lost. Morphs is into a new reality manifestation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So good. It's important to understand that death is just a situation we will need to pass and move on. But then I go to UK with Miss Gibbons here. Always we have a comma and say, but it is just lose someone prematurely.
Can you ask the question again, please?
It is just lose someone prematurely.
Okay. So we mean that someone who dies quite young. Is that what you mean?
Quite young, or
Right.
suddenly we are not expecting to.
Well, I think death, we say prematurely, and unless there is an accident or something, I think I like to define this, because spiritually speaking, from what we learn from the spiritual benefactor to the many books, especially the André Luiz collection of books by Chico Xavier, we have a plan of life in coming into this. This plan is created in the spiritual world, even before we are born, even before our parents are born, because when they themselves are born, they already have accepted that they are going to be our parents. There is a pattern of life, a blueprint, you could call it. Within that, we have to have the experiences, the lessons that we have to learn in this life. So sometimes a premature death, a child who is ill or dies prematurely, is already part of the plan of that spirit to die young. Sometimes it's because in the past they say, an example could be anything. They commit suicide, were ill and they commit suicide. So they'll come for a part of life that they should have lived in the other life. Other times, a premature death, that of a child, is to teach the parents some lessons that they need to learn. I think we need to understand this. It's not punishment. It's lessons that we need to learn that sometimes we ask for. And within that blueprint of life that we have, we can change things. We can modify them. We can make life better if we're more accepting, if we're more have more faith, and if we work towards a better life, we change quite a lot. Nothing is, I think one thing that I always feel that in Spiritism, nothing is written in stone. You can't put an example to fit all the columns, because each one has its own merit. And this is very important to it's not, everyone is judged in the same way. Every single thing is judged in its own merit, and the person will receive according to the lessons they need to learn. So unless there is, a suicide that's never accounted for, then premature death, or maybe even an accident, is being predicted. It might not, but it can be. So this creates quite a lot of pain, of course. The death of a child is excruciating pain. And we saw the video before and the explanation that Charles gave, and through the literature that, we read quite a lot. We do, as spiritists, we accept that death is just a moment, is the dying for the body and the birth into the spirit. It's a rebirth, really. This process of dying is a rebirth into the spirit. We're going back home somehow, because we had been imprisoned in a body for a bit. So although we understand this, we understand that life goes on, that we will meet the people that we love, that some of them will be waiting for us, that we have new opportunities, we are going to reborn again. All this is important because it gives us a consolation, a strength to live that moment. But it does not impede us to feel as much pain as anybody else. The loss of a loved one is the hardest, especially of a child, is the hardest thing that a parent could face. Having all that understanding that life goes on, you see them again, it does not take away the pain and that, that sense of loss that we have when we lose a parent, when we lose a brother, a child, whoever it is. We feel the same pain as everybody else. And I think this is very important to understand, because sometimes people, you think life goes on, so you don't feel the pain when somebody dies. Because you're not crying, you're not making a fuss. And we know that in knowing the spirit reality that they are going, we know they are alive and they are suffering as much pain as we are, because they are also losing us. They are going to the new life, new perspective, new adventures, new things going on. We are going to see them again, but they also miss us. They also feel the pain of loss. And if we here start getting, why do you die? Why you die? We disturb them. We disturb their peace. So we pray. We hold on to our pain, and we deal with our pain through prayer, to asking God to sustain us at that difficult moment of loss, and to also sustain and help the spirit that is leaving us for the moment, because we are all going to meet together. But, it's the same thing as in life. We go, we, all of us, we have left our homes, we have left our families. And the moment, I'm sure that every single one of us at that airport, at one time or another, hugged our parents, hugged our brothers, our friends, and we cried. We did, because we were losing them. Although we were excited because we were going to another country, we were going to travel. Even when you go on holiday, that sense, when you go and you meet some people, it's so, you're traveling, and I remember going in this trip, I did a cruise around the Mediterranean once, and for a week, 10 days, we're all together, having dinner together, and we got so friendly that when we left, everybody was crying because we were leaving, and we're practically strangers to each other. But during that period, we were all together, we dined together, we had to go to the pool together, go to the trips together. And we felt that sense of loss. So imagine someone that is very dear to you, is very close to you. You feel a lot of pain. And but what the Spiritist knowledge gives us is the confidence that we're going to see them again, that life goes on, that and also that we can manage our pain. We will not get desperate. We're not going to throw ourselves, and cry and scream and all that kind of, we do it quietly. We hold our pain and solve it through prayer. And it's a moment of change, a transformation to the person. And also, I think we have to understand that today is the time that they journey, and the next time, because it's a road that each and every one of us will go through. No one is exempt from going to that road. And I think that's, it's very important. Sometimes, of course, when it's the death of a child or something unexpected, it's you have that shock as well of something have happened that you didn't expect. But there is no need to go into despair. You can be quiet and confident and help them through prayers, and help ourselves as well through prayer, because it's the great source of help that we can have at that difficult moment, and go to a family and be together. And I think a lot of the problems now that we have as well in question of fear, we fear death, and because I think there is a lot to do with some of the teachings that we had from the church in the last few centuries, and the idea of eternal punishment and eternal hell, that you're going to go because almost everything is a mortal sin. And I think the fear of death came with that, because in the ancient cultures, and you go to some places like Iraq or Lebanon, or you see the architecture, the art they had. They saw life as a cycle. There are many places that have like eggs, and they have circles, because they saw life as a circle. You have time, and they saw this very much as nature. You plant, you grow something, and harvest it, and it dies, and then everything will be reborn. This was part of the culture of almost every culture in the past, and was only when this idea of hell, that you're going to be punished, that fear of death came, really, because it's a natural process. Also, with the acceptance that we accept the idea of reincarnation, we know we had many deaths. We have died in many different ways. And I remember once I'm a trained regression past life therapist. And I remember once when we were doing a course, and we came to the hall to have lunch. And everybody was there, and somebody said, "Oh, how did you die today?" Because you go to the process of death in the therapy, everybody goes through the process of death. So you discover how many deaths you had in the past. And someone came and said, "How did you die today?" And I remember the girl who was helping, serving, she wasn't part of the group, of course. She looked back and she was scared, that, oh my God, what's this? And it was so funny because we saw that, and everybody started to laugh, because for us it was such a process that we had gone through, and we were all alive again. And I think that that's one of the things we have to hold on to. Life is eternal. It's one life. We have one life and many existences. So there is no need to fear death. There is no need to get this desperate. If we're going if we know our time on this earth is approaching, we can prepare ourselves. Ask for help from friends, from God, whoever. And, it's a process. I always think, oh my God, look at the way I look. I'm looking so ugly now. I'm getting old. And I say, oh, never mind. I'll be going to be very young again. So it's fine. So it's just, a process that we go through. And I think one of the beauties, the wonderful thing that you have in Spiritism is the source of consolation that we have. We have something to hold on to at the time that's most desperate for us, the time of loss. I have known a lot of loss in my life, and it's, a lot of times I don't know how I would do if I didn't have a spiritism to support me at those times. So I'm so confident, and that God is merciful, He's generous, and we can have a good life now, so we can continue having a good life as we live as well. So I think I'd finish here. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Lovely explanation. Our friend Robbie from California, he's saying we should not have fear in the process. Not knowing allow us to build faith. Life offers us so many opportunities to learn. Yeah, it is true, Robbie. It's a process. It's a process, but because we don't know how this process is going to be, it's natural have fear. Okay. So then I'm going to ask you, Elsa. My dear, nothing is done without an intelligence purpose. And no matter what happens, everything has its reason for being. How to console those mothers who lost their childs, who lost a loved one.
There is something very, very deep inside our hearts as mothers, fathers, no, that have a baby. And these questions remind me about Chico Xavier. Chico Xavier used to receive letters that go letters for the mothers or mothers of Chico Xavier, because he consoled with his letters, consoling letters, messages from beyond for the children, the kids, the small age or beloved ones that departed, and people from all over the other religions, even no spiritists, they went to Chico Xavier, and some received letters, and these are more than thousands of letters that has been researched now by the University of Juiz de Fora to, as a scientist, they are researching, proving the life of beyond. The spirit goes on. The spirit can communicate after death. So the consolation for the mothers, for parents, or for the people that lost their beloved ones is the hope and faith that in the life goes on, the continuation that God is merciful, is justice, never take someone from us that is not in the agenda of evolution. So each one of us, we have our pathway to fulfill. And some parents, they receive a baby, they receive a spirit, as Silvia pointed very well, planning before reincarnation. But sometimes they prepare themselves to receive a spirit that will live only a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, a few months, and depart this baby. Of course, it's terrible for the parents, but as previous agreed, this spirit goes and come back in a format of a nephew or even the son of the same family. That is a blessing. The end of the gospel, according to Spiritism, we have a lot of prayers for the ones that departure premature. And we have two questions, or more than two, in the Spirit's book that call my attention because exactly what we are, the topic that we are talking today. So people that has the Spirit book, make notes, the question 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 7. I think the other ones. But look, I have the question here, Stevan. What happens to a spirit if the body it has chosen dies before birth, it chooses another. What could be the usefulness of such premature deaths? The imperfections of matter are frequently the cause of such deaths. Imperfection of matter. Sometimes the person that or is an alcoholic mother that disturb the processing of this incarnation, or there are illness or the problems, doesn't mean that this spirit is not coming in later on, new phase. In the question 347, what usefulness can a spirit derive from incarnating into a body that dies a few days after birth? Such a being does not yet have a sufficiently developed consciousness of its existence. The importance of this death is almost null. So the spirit, they come and go for fulfilling a process, probably for the parents. As says here, as we already said, these cases are often meant as a trial for the parents. We can say, for example, a lady that committed so many abortions in one life, in another existence, she wants to have a baby, but she will undergo, more or less, is not a punishment, is a law of cause and effect, something that fulfill their expectation and they're lost. It's a trial. A trial means a test. As you have to have a test in order to drive, you have to have a test in order to pass from level to another level in your school, etc. Our planet is a test for us. Trial and attunement is our phase now. But everything that happens, there is a purpose. Nothing is, like Silvia said, is by chance. Everything follows a plan. We are part of it. If I'm losing a child or lose a husband, I lost inverted commas, because no one lost no one. My husband died. I was 40. I'm 70 now. But I knew in advance that the separation is momentaneously, because what is the 1 century for the spiritual world? Nothing. It's a second here. For us, of course, means a lot, but it's inside us, in our intelligence, using our research in order to, as Spiritism, make us understand the life goes on. There is no death. There is no heaven, no hell, only a state of our consciousness that we are take with us wherever we are going. We take our conscience with us, one incarnation to another incarnation. There are cases, the mothers that a child or a teenager was murdered, for example. In this case, it was happened in Brazil so many years ago, many years ago, 3 decades ago. And a mother of the child that was murdered by another teenager, she took care of the another teenager with love, visiting this young person in prison, giving assistance, giving education to the other person. So she didn't hate. She knew in advance that her boy, her son, departed, that was fulfilling a task, né? And dedicated to help other child. That means if I be angry with God, if I be discussing with losing a child, etc., I'm not doing the good. Of course, we have our time to mourn. We have our time to, of course, we have to have 6 months, 1 year, whatever. But the life goes on. We have to move on and love more. Take care more about the other people. Only love each other make us strength to overcome our own difficulties, our own losses. So I would like to say to you that if you go to the Gospel, chapter 28, and read so many beautiful prayers, prayer for those who no longer on earth, for someone who has just died. Look at the preface. Do we have time, Stevan?
Yes.
Prayers for those who have just left the earth are not for the exclusive purpose of showing our sympathy. They also have the effect of helping to release them for their earthly ties, and in this manner, shorten the period of perturbation which frequently follows the separation, so allowing a more peaceful awakening on the other side. Our prayers, as Silvia pointed, from the bottom of our hearts, our prayers, not the prayer with anguish, prayer of furious, no, prayer from the bottom of our hearts, understanding that this beloved one that departed need the light. We can send our light, we can send the love, we can send our good energy and ask the benefactors that they are showing us how to pray, the benefactors to take care our beloved one. Probably, certainly, this beloved one were already received in spiritual world with by this grandfather, grandmother, great grandfather, or spirit. They are so sympathetic to them. So this is the way that the things works. And nevertheless, in this case, as in all other circumstances, the efficacy depends on the sincerity of the thoughts and not on the quantity of words, our prayers. Words offered with more or less solemnity, in which very frequently the heart does not participate. We have to hold our heart, our conscience, our thoughts, in order to pronounce or not pronounce, only in silence, our prayers. Prayers is energy. We don't need even to say loudly. We say loudly when you have other people and pray together, that's fine. But we can pray in silence with our heart, our love, and our beloved ones will receive our prayers as a beautiful light to help them in this portal, this umbral. It goes from one part to another. We don't know. People sometimes take more time or other less time, but for sure, we can help them. As one day their prayers, the beloved ones that will stay here, will pray for us and help us in spiritual world. That is the law. Prayer help everything, everyone. I think that answer your question, Stevan.
Yes, of course. Thank you. And our conclusion here is life never ends. We are immortal spirits. Yeah. And an incarnation succeed each other.
The best thing is to understand is reading some research that is Dr. Yanni Stevenson, Dr.
Yes.
Banerjee, Dr. Hernani Guimarães Andrade. They led aside religion. They only act as a scientist. And now premature death in children and remembering past life, Dr. Jim Tucker, not took the place, but he was working with Dr. Ian Stevenson, and he carried on this research. And the Netflix had a series of Surviving After Death. I think was the name of the series, Sobrevivendo da Morte, né? And this series show a lot of scientists, mediums, messages, everything regarding they are living. We'll never die. That's a film, we never die, or die tomorrow, but we never die. We continue living, and we have this research, and now more research are coming in this way, about the life after death. There is no way that we can die, never. We continue living. That is the beauty of our communication between two worlds.
Yeah, and also that is not a departure, but it is a return. Of course, for those who will stay here, we need to deal with this momentary absence. But for those who is departing, they will, like Silvia said, they will have the same feeling as we are having. They are not see, they will not be with us, you know. But uh, the love, this good feeling, unite us wherever we are, in the spiritual world or in the material world. The love unites ourselves,
There are
and
some
this is
things
the
very
most
important.
important thing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I say thing, the thing that is very important. If you lose one child, né, you can not replace, we never replace someone, is
Yeah,
irreplaceable.
sure.
But you can sometimes dedicate a time for the children that lost their mothers, their parents. They are in orphanage or in places, I don't know the name in Brazil, that where children can stay when they have the government take care because they don't have family to take care. And mothers, fathers, they can go to this orphanage, they take a child there, give it their time, help the child, talk with the child, and give their love for the other children that has no mother, no father. So the way that exchange goodness, charity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nancy says to us, we just change address.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. I think one thing that is interesting about life continuing, there was a film that was made some time ago, quite some time ago. I think Julia Roberts in it. It's called The Flatliners. I don't know if you've seen it. I think this is very interesting about people who are afraid of death and thinking things, but because it's a group of medical students that they want to see if life goes on, and they start sort of dying. They inject themselves to die for a few moments, and then they bring them back. And it's interesting because they go without an idea, going to prove whatever, and they got a lot more than they bargained for. And of course, they see their life goes on. And it's very, very interesting if anybody has an opportunity to see this film. It brings, actually, even though it's a sort of Hollywood movie, it brings quite a lot of understanding about how the spiritual world works and how it
What's the name of the
transforms.
movie, my dear? Just to put it here in the chat.
Flatliners.
Front,
Flatliners.
frontliners.
Flatliners.
Flatline.
When the person dies, the line of the machine goes flat like that. So that's what they used to do. They inject, because nowadays with all the technology we have, we can bring people back. So they would go flatline and then they would come back. But it's interesting because they saw life on the other side, and what they saw transformed their lives in this life. So it's an interesting film actually to see. If anybody has, fear of death and things like that. Because we should not fear death. It doesn't mean that we need to want to die soon as possible. That's not it either. We have to live this life as fully as we can possibly can. Enjoy every moment, do everything we can to learn more, to be in touch more with people we love, to tell them every day we love you, and to, tell our friends how much they mean to us, and to have a life that's fulfilling. Because I think if there is any regret that in life is the things we haven't done or the people we didn't think about. We get so busy with our daily lives and we forget sometimes to phone someone we like or tell someone, your friendship is really important to me. We never do that. And I think those are the regrets we take. So if we're able to give out a love, a friendship, and tell people you are dear to me, you take their love with you, and you leave your love with them, and to be more caring for, especially for the people that surround us and our friends and everyone really, because if there are any regrets we take, I think this is other ones, or I should have said this to that person, should have loved them, tell them how much they meant to me. And so we should do that more often and enjoy every moment of life. You know, like the Egyptians, some people said, I read somewhere that the Egyptians, they lived to die. Their whole life was preparation for their dying, because they thought life was in another plane, not here. That's why they had all the tombs with everything they had. And it's interesting, when you go to Egypt, there is no palaces. There may be, you know, something there, but the only thing they have is tombs and temples. But they invented beer, they enjoyed their lives a lot. But also they prepared their little books, you know, to take with them when they went. So I think we should do that. It's a good lesson. Life is precious, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. It's such a blessing as well. So we have to take this. So when a moment comes, we have no regrets. We enjoyed every moment of the precious life that was given to us. You know,
There's the book, the André Luiz book, and The Life Goes On. There's an entire collection in the spiritual world. But this book, it's a film as well that you can watch, with subtitles in English, in other languages, several languages, and The Life Goes On. It's wonderful. And the Chico Xavier Mothers as well. It's very nice.
You are so quiet, Mr. Kempf. What's happening in France?
Just listening. I mean, yes, of course.
Nobody's dying there.
It's in the air, clearly. Huh? And how to say, this vision changing from, okay, everything is finished, it's put in a box under the earth and forever finished. And the vision which says, no, the spirit just frees from the body, has been freed from the body, that we will meet again, that even we can continue tuning one to the other. And so it changes completely the point of view of what the death is. And there are some examples, famous examples. Someone who died quite young from a cancer. When this person arrived in the spiritual world, they were telling, you have seen, your cancer has cured you. Your perispirit is now well. And another example from Brazil, it was, they had a law that they wanted to make abortion for anencephalous fetus, which they can come to birth, but then they have only a couple of hours, or maybe the best case days to live. And abortion being permitted in these particular cases. And the parents, they didn't want to make the abortion because they were spirits, so they just left the baby arrive at the birth. And then, of course, it died after a couple of hours and so on. Of course, it's, again, it's sad for them. But then they went in a spiritist group and they got a message from the child, who the spirit of the child, who told them, look, thanks a lot for having letting the life go until the natural finish, because this helped me in order to drain my spiritual body from a lot of problems it bears from the past lives. And now, since it is cleaned, I will come again and be a child from you. And indeed, the lady became pregnant again, and she got a very, how to say, full of a baby in perfect health conditions. Right. So these are just some examples which should do that, again, losing the fear of the death, that has been commented by Silvia, because we know where we are going, even if we have always an apprehension when there is a big change like this, or like we have an apprehension when before we are doing a big travel in a country that we don't know, and that where we will have to stay for a long period, for a certain period. It's just natural to have a fear like this, but the death should be not with this mooring, everything black and crying and inconsolable and so on, At the opposite, it should be seen with positively, even with some happiness for having the person who was very severely ill, a lot of problems, his physical body not working anymore, high dependency and so on, be freed from that body.
Yeah. Okay, so our time is up here. Let them put our announcements. We don't have any more questions here. So let me put the announcements. Okay. So this Saturday, our friend Daniel Stiegel, he's back, and he will talk about a new perspective on pain from Leon Denis. Also, on the 21st of November, we will have Spiritism X 2021 with a lot of guests, and one of them is Charles here. So you are more than welcome to join and register at Spiritism X 2021 eventbrite.co.uk. What's next? Birth, the New Earth. So it's an event. Elsa, do you want to say a little bit more? Because looks very.
Dr. Caterini, she is the organizer. She stayed in Baz, visiting us two years ago. A very nice person, psychologist. And Dr. Mick Collins, that always stays with us in our events. So this event is free, a series of talks about the beautiful title, no? Birth of the New Earth.
Yeah.
On 6th of November, Saturday, there's a website that you can go, that summit.com. Dr. Caterini put in the bottom of the
yeah, birth
New Earth
summit.com.
Yeah.
/Michael.
Yes, so that's it. Go there, make your registration. I made mine, and enjoy it. A series of talks.
Great, thank you. Also, on the 6th of November, we will have International Spiritist Youth Group. So they will have their monthly meetings, also in English, in Portuguese, in Spanish. So also you have a plenty of choices here. Our next topic for next Wednesday is strengthening the power to cope. Okay. We will have the second virtual International Spiritism Medical Congress. Speakers Alexandre Moreira, we said here, Dr. Peter Fenwick, Marcelo Saad. So it's all wonderful speakers, doctors, and they will give a wonderful time for us as well. It's going to happen on the 20th and 21st of November. And next week, we will have our friends, Guilherme Diaz and Rafael Caldas, talking with their show, It's Time to Talk. And the title for next week is, Can I Become a Medium? So stay tuned, 8:30 p.m. London time. For those who are in America, don't forget your clock, adjust your clock, because it's now your time to sleep 1 more hour on Sunday. Okay? our the cardiac group. He's promoting the donations to two communities in Brazil, Grupo Espírita Sheila, Instituto Multirão. So if you want, just visit www.cardiac.org.uk/high five. And they do have their regular podcasting, insightfully speaking, and you can listen them from all the podcasts available in the market. And stay tuned. In April next year, 2022, we will have our first World Spiritist Month. Okay, and with the help of FEAL, Fundação Espírita André Luiz in Brazil, we will have our first World Spiritist Month. And that's it. And that's it, my friends. Okay. Leah just say to us, oh, Leah, we are missing you, my friend. We don't see you for a while. I hope everything's okay. Really nice to sit in with all of you. Thank you for speaking.
Thank you for being there.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Thank you for your kind towards ourselves. Robbie as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friends. We wish you a good night. Stay calm.
See you next week.
And do your prayers. I'll see you next week.
Okay, God bless everyone. Have a good week.
My friends, thank you. It's wonderful to be with you out here. Au revoir, my friend.
Bye. Inshallah.